People you're talking about, they spent money on white women. They set up bars and they went playing pool and golf for $1,000 a hole, and they were known to make millions and millions when there wasn't no high taxes, and they were not hindered by white America. They were allowed to see the white America has completely closed all the doors on me. I'm not allowed to work in America, out of America. I was stopped right in my prime just when I started making money. So you can't compare me with nobody like George or nobody.
And if you are black, if you are brown, if you are indigenous, and if you are poor, this system is rigged and it is right to the core, and we gonna unbreak it. That's it. And that's all.
That other kind of socialism that revolutionizes the workplace, brings democracy to the workplace for the first time.
So that's one way. And then the other thing is, in my more optimistic days, he's such a perfect endpoint of everything that is toxic and dysfunctional about the United States, about capitalism, about the 80s, that maybe this is the final sort of disgusting burst before we evolve or change to something better.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Radical Democracy Show. I'm your host, Kamali Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Got a lot I want to cover here, and so we will try to get right to it. Before I do so, though, I will just quickly ask you to please do me a favor and hit that like button right down below. If you just started watching this, just hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and please share this out on social media so that you can help us grow the channel and spread the message. All right. To anyone that can afford to do so as well, I just ask that you please support independent media, support independent Black left media by supporting the show on Coffee at ko-fi.com/radical democracy or on Patreon at patreon.com/radical democracy. Links to both of those are in the description box below. And we do appreciate shout out to all of our existing Coffee and Patreon supporters for all of their support, just giving us the ability to allow this show to continue to exist. We're still under $100 a month pledged. We deeply appreciate every dollar that we have pledged, because we know folks are broke. It's tough times right now. We deeply appreciate every dollar that folks can give. So if you can afford to do so, please help us at least hit that $100 a month mark. And then we've got a long way to go after that, because in order to sustain the show, we're going to need thousands of dollars a month. And so, help us get there one supporter at a time. Appreciate all the support. All right, let's get to it. So for folks that, we're going to kind of jump into this thing about, sort of halfway through what's going on. I've already covered yesterday evening. I covered, the initial sort of rumblings of this controversy, this debate going on the left between Jimmy Dore and AOC, Justin Jackson, David Sirota, Benjamin Dixon. Now Tim Black has become more directly involved in this. And so if you want to see my full thoughts, more complete thoughts on that particular part of the debate, just check out my video from yesterday, and you'll hear my thoughts on that. I'll try to share some of it, but I really want to get to the meat of this, and so I won't rehash all of that. But if you want to see where I stand on this in general, in a little bit more depth, then please check out the video from yesterday that we did on the topic. It's, something Jimmy Dore, AOC, Justin Jackson, you'll find it very easily. All right. So this debate has been, raging on the left now for a few days now, ever since Jimmy Dore came out and, proposed on his show this potential strategy of, what he proposed as a strategy for pressuring Nancy Pelosi by threatening her House speakership, for, pushing the progressive members of Congress, the squad, and the actual true leftists in Congress to use their, power as a voting bloc to potentially, to at least threaten to tank Nancy Pelosi's speakership. The vote will be happening in January. And many on the left, myself included, feel like this is a time where the progressives do have some leverage and could utilize this leverage potentially for some substantive gains. What Jimmy Dore is calling for is he's calling for a vote on the floor for Medicare for all. I disagree with Jimmy that that's a substantive gain. I think that is purely performative, because we all know that a Medicare for all vote on the floor does not make Medicare for all a reality, and it just simply will not. One, it's not even very likely to pass the floor. So that alone, makes it a long shot. But beyond that, even if it did pass even if the vote did pass, it still has to make its way through the Senate and then through the White House, and that's just highly unlikely to happen. And so, this debate has been raging on. Folks, the left is split on this, and I think that these are reasonable points of debate on the left, right? I mean, we're not going to agree with everybody 100% of the time, and we need to find ways on the left to disagree with our allies, with our comrades, and not devolve into personal attacks and just being crabs in a barrel and tearing one another down, when we're just disagreeing on these fine points of strategy. Like, it's okay to disagree. We should be ready and know that we're not going to agree with everything anyone ever says unless that person is ourselves, right? Short of that, it's not going to, we're not going to agree with everybody 100% of the time, right? And so we have to know, we have to think about how we handle people when we disagree with them, right? Is it a productive way? There are productive ways to disagree with someone. There are counterproductive ways to disagree with someone. And I think the way, again, I agree with Jimmy on the idea of and on the strategy of forcing Nancy Pelosi's hand and applying pressure to Nancy Pelosi using the leverage of her, the vote for her House speakership. I 100% agree with Jimmy on that strategy. Now, I disagree with Jimmy on what we should ask for, because I think that, again, the Medicare for all House vote is just performative. There is 0% chance that getting even if it passed on the House, even if it passed the House, I still consider it a 0% chance that that bill makes it through the Senate and then doesn't get vetoed by either Donald Trump or Joe Biden, who has come out on the record and said he would veto Medicare for all if it got to his desk. He is on record saying so. You don't believe me? Look it up. You can find it very easily. All right. So, we got to be real about that. What they're calling for, the pressure they're talking about. Now, there's other value to getting a vote on the House, right? And again, I don't want to rehash this too much. So before I get too much into this, all right, I'm not, without getting too much into this, I really want to, because again, I covered all that on the segment I did last night, and I don't need to rehash that all. We will get into some of it a little bit more after the fact, but what I want to do first is to show you what sort of how this has now, devolved from that, how this debate has now devolved into some, Jimmy Dore, he has come out and just straight up attacked Tim Black and David Sirota. Again, this, if you're used to Jimmy Dore, this is nothing new. In fact, in the description box below, you'll find a link to a video that I did, months ago on Jimmy Dore. And actually, full disclosure, before I go any further, I should say full disclosure as I'm talking about Tim Black, just to make things clear. And to put my biases, wear my biases on my sleeve. I mean, I do work for Tim Black. I'm a content editor for Tim Black. It's part-time, I'm a part-time content editor for him. And but I did this video on Jimmy Dore months ago before I was working with Tim Black. So you can consider that completely unbiased opinion of mine back then. If you go and watch that again, links are in the description box below to that conversation that we had. We actually had one of our comrades from our community on the show, Steve Alvarez, join me to have that discussion / debate, and I thought that it was a very productive discussion, and you can check that out. It's called "Is Jimmy Dore Toxic to the Left?" and see what we said back then, because we kind of called it, if not to toot our own horn here, but we kind of called it with Jimmy Dore. So I'm trying to give you the full sort of background of this and let you see that, listen, I don't disagree with Jimmy on some of the strategy points that he's making. I agree with Jimmy on some of the strategy points. It's everything that he's done since then, essentially, and the way that he is choosing to, instead of have the debate out in some constructive manner, Jimmy Dore's shtick is like to just completely tear down. He has to do this like Ben Shapiro-esque, I have to annihilate, I'm going to destroy and annihilate, anyone. It's this like scorched earth politics that he does that I'm finding it to be counterproductive to the left movement. And so I want to talk about that. So, we're going to get into it. I'm going to get to comments afterwards. So I promise we'll get to all your comments. Stick around. If you're commenting, please stick around so that we can have, the discussion after the fact. I just want to present some of what I want to present here, and then we'll get into the discussion bit after. All right. So let me get into this because I've already taken too long as far as I'm concerned. All right. So first, what I want to play for you, or what I want you to check out first is, let's first take a look at the Twitter beef, sort of. So let's see where it started with the Twitter beef. All right, and then we'll go from there. All right. So first up, I just want to show you where things started to go, of course, between how this all sparked up between Jimmy Dore and Tim Black, really. All right. So let's take a look at that first. And you see here, this Tim Black tweeted out, and somebody, he's responding to somebody. Somebody says, Jimmy and David Sirota sorted out their disagreements already. Would you be willing to do the same? To which Tim Black responded, I didn't know that. Someone tweeted this and I thought it was out of line. Jimmy being half-cocked Jimmy, attacking even friends. Not good. But of course, you don't see it as a trend. Face it. Attacking friends is a feature, not a bug with that guy. And yes, I want Medicare for all. To which Jimmy responded. So Jimmy Dore then responds to that, and he screenshots a post by Tim Black that he says that Tim Black deleted, and he says, "Hey, here is the tweet that you deleted because it reveals you as a phony bootlicker. Nice job prioritizing politicians' careers over Medicare for all. You're done. Okay, so that's Jimmy tweeting out, telling Tim Black, he deleted a tweet because it revealed him as a phony bootlicker, and then tells him you're done. So that was some of the rhetoric out of Jimmy. To which Tim Black responded to that. And I'll show you Tim Black's response here as well. And it is right here. We have Tim Black saying, responding to him saying, you're done. Tim Black says, yes, sir, massa. Oz is done, sir. Fucking phony. And honestly, when I read Jimmy saying, you're done, like, yo, it's so fucking disrespectful. I'm gonna get into it. All right. So I'll get into all of it. But that's that rhetoric from Jimmy Dore. He's telling Tim Black, again, this is somebody. Let me just, to make this clear for those that don't know these, because I've watched Jimmy Dore since he was on TYT. I don't watch his show regularly anymore. I never really regularly watched his show, to be honest, but I would check out clips of his all the time. But I watched him a lot when he was on TYT, and liked him when he was on TYT. And I've been watching Tim Black for years now. Been a fan of the Tim Black show for years now. And so, these are people that I know that I've been, to some degree, Tim Black for sure, like inspired by, but I've followed them. I've and I'm generally speaking, I'm fans of theirs, I agree with them. I like what they do. Generally supportive of their work, generally speaking. But obviously check out the Jimmy Dore clip that I did before. You'll see not 100% right with Jimmy. And again, like I said, we called it in that thing, with his rhetoric towards allies, essentially. But so what you have between, with Jimmy Dore coming out, talking to Tim Black like this, like Jimmy Dore agrees with Tim Black, like they agree on 99% of not just policy issues, because I think largely on the left, we agree with like on 99% of policy issues, but on the left, we'll have some pretty strong disagreements on strategy. But not only does Jimmy agree with Tim Black, 99% of the time on policy, but also on strategy. Like these are two people that are both like, people's, pro People's Party, anti, two-party duopoly. Tim Black's slogan is "Both parties suck, Johnson." Jimmy Dore's known for going hard after Democrats, as well as Republicans, but people often criticize him because he focuses more on Democrats, which I totally understand. Look at my channel. I focus more on Democrats as well because that's the party that I'm closer to, and I feel like I have more sway in that party. So yeah, I also do focus on that a lot too. But these are people that agree. I mean, Tim Black agrees with Jimmy on 99% of strategy, policy. Green. They both voted Green Party in 2016 and 2020. They were both, frustratingly, in my opinion, referred to by, like the Michael Brooks show, and Michael Brooks and Sam Cedar have referred to them both as part of the dumb left, which I hate that term and just hate that kind of like that sort of divisive rhetoric, and definitely find it to be disrespectful when you group in, a black leftist like that, a true leftist, and a black leftist like that, and trying to frame it like dumb, like I don't, there's some. We won't get into that, but whatever. So they largely roll in the same circles. I think that Tim would consider Jimmy like a friend of his by and large, and I just point that out because this is Jimmy's rhetoric towards somebody that agrees with him on 99% of things, and it's right out of the gate. You're done. You're a bootlicker, a phony bootlicker. Like, how the fuck does that? How is that productive? How is that constructive criticism? How does that keep a conversation going or help us to build a unified left? Like when you're just coming out of the gate and using ad hominem attacks against somebody that agrees with you so thoroughly on policy and strategy, but this is the thing with Jimmy. It's like, if you agree with him 99.9% of the time, and then you 0.01% of the time you disagree with him, now it's scorched earth. All of a sudden, you're a phony, coward, bootlicker, sucker, punk, bitch. You know, like, it's just all that. It's like you can't just disagree with you on a strategy point. All right, I'm going too far into it. I gotta play these clips. Let me play these clips out. We're gonna come back after I play this clip. So what we're gonna watch up next is going to be Tim Black on his show last night. Responded to some of this, and so I caught some of Tim Black's live stream last night, and I was streaming as well, so I couldn't catch the beginning part of it, but I caught the last half of it or so, last hour or so of it, and Tim Black discussed this on his live stream last night, and so I just want to take a look at what Tim Black said on his live stream, and then we'll come back and discuss. All right. Now this clip is the clip that we're going to play is about 6 minutes long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it a little sped up at 1.5 times speed so that we can get through the clip a little quicker. I don't think that it alters the message of the clip at all, to play it a little bit sped up. So just as a note, when you listen to this clip, you're listening to it at slightly sped up version of it. But again, it's about 6 minutes long. When we play it sped up, it'll be about 4.5 minutes or so. Okay, so I want to get through this, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss. All right.
That's one of Bernie Sanders' top advisors. That's what's wrong. He's afraid to stand up to Nancy Pelosi. We really can't do that. That's what he just said. So,
and just to be clear, Jimmy is talking. This is me here. And just to be clear, Jimmy is referring here to David Sirota. So he's going to attack David Sirota in this clip. So when you hear Jimmy talking here, he's referring to David Sirota, former speechwriter for the Bernie Sanders campaign, investigative journalist, writer for the Daily Poster. So what we're hearing is Jimmy Dore talking about David Sirota. And again, we covered David Sirota's plan last night on the show, and we'll get more into that. We'll take a look at that after this clip plays.
That was that article, what Jacobin's doing with that article, what he's doing in that article is protecting AOC and the squad from actually having to do anything. And I thought so, and he finally revealed it at the end of the conversation. He tiptoed all the way through it, but right at the end, he finally revealed, I'm not willing to do this because Nancy Pelosi might lose her speakership. Holy fucking shit. Did you fucking hear that? I did, and I called him on it in real time. At the end of the day, his strategy is a born loser because it's the jumping off point of I don't want to threaten Nancy Pelosi's speakership. You just saw him say it. And that's why the left always loses. So, that's why the left always loses. They have no spine. They have no grit. They have no fight. They have the energy of defeat, and they're afraid to challenge power. David Sirota just told you he's afraid to challenge power. That's what that is. How are you going to win the war if you're not willing to go into battle? And he's not willing to go into battle. And that was a head fake when he said we can't settle for crumbs. He's willing to settle for nothing because he can't risk losing Nancy Pelosi as speaker. That's a guy inside the machine looking for another job inside the Democratic Party.
Okay. Now, once again, I did not watch this show. This clip was sent to me. Seems like vintage Jimmy Dore, where the person who's an ally, a colleague, a friend, I thought David Sirota was a friend. I didn't know he was an enemy. I know he was a coward, spineless, no backbone. Unlike Jimmy, the most powerful man in the universe, all courage and guts. I didn't know we came to a conclusion that he was expendable, no use to the movement. I didn't even know that you had the ability to do that, Jimmy, that it's up to you who's good, who's not good, who's useful, who's not useful. Well, it's my understanding that maybe things got cleared up in a later point. I don't know. Then I get other people saying I wasn't really cleared up. They just agreed to disagree. And then David Sirota had a different point of view of how this should be approached. Jimmy Dore, you're too big for your own good. You're too loud, you're too arrogant for your own good. It's not fair to beat the shit out of your friends just because they got a different opinion. David Sirota, I don't know. I'm not trying to bring you into this. The clip is on Twitter. I didn't create the clip. I didn't look for the clip. It was tweeted. Just like all the hundreds of tweets that I received today. All of you Jimmy protectors. It's out there. But I think it shows something about Jimmy that we're seeing too much of. And maybe there should be an intervention. Maybe somebody should say, hey, Jimmy, love the fire. Love the fire, Jimmy. Hold on, not perfect. Make mistakes. Go too far sometimes. Can be a real asshole sometimes. Hey, people say things to me. People tell me, Tim, little high strong there. Hey, Tim, take things too personal sometimes. Hey, Tim, maybe you should cool off. Why is it that's impossible for this guy to have to hear that? I told Jimmy Dore back in the day, back before this thing got off the rails with him and I told him The way that you're attacking Bernie is above and beyond. Other people feel it. They're just not telling you because they're scared of you. I know you're not supported you for years, but this gone too far. They won't tell you because they don't want the backlash. He ignored that. That was a friend coming to you in private. I have the receipts, Jimmy, and you know it. In this case, you're doing the same thing. David Sirota, I didn't even know about it until after all this Twitter shit. Me, I'm a sellout. Come on, dude. People that actually know me, watch my content, know I'm not. Not the way this black man calls out phony-ass black, mediocre, milquetoast neoliberals and sell out to not only the black community, but the fucking world. Nah, not the way I do it. That's not going to fly. Maybe it'll fly with some other people who don't have a track record of going after whoever it is. Intelligent power. But for you to be able to try to parse it like I'm defending Nancy Pelosi, really, dog? That's what I'm doing? I'm me looking for a job at CNN. Come on, dog. Put on some glasses. They don't hire old fat black guys with bald heads. They ain't happening. That ship sailed long ago. I'm only in this for one reason. I don't know about you, Jimmy. I'm in this for one reason. And maybe you are too. But maybe you're getting too successful that you forget where the fuck you come from. So anyway, it's got too personal. Fine. You made it personal. There it goes to proof right there. That guy's a coward. He's not a guy with a wrong idea. This is not a guy who's making a mistake. This is not a guy with a faulty strategy. It's a coward. David can't be just a guy you disagree with. He has to be a coward and someone looking for a job, i.e. a grifter, i.e. a sellout, i.e. a phony. Why come we just can't be different? Different, unless you got evidence that is being paid to lie to you, unless you got some form of evidence. And the same thing goes for me and anybody else that you come at like this. Now, I'm not a coward, Jimmy. A coward wouldn't do this live stream. I've already lost hundreds of dollars even going up against you this far. But I believe in it because you're wrong. And if you're not wrong, you deserve to be challenged. And you should welcome a challenge. It should not be, let's destroy him. You're done. Nah, that's not how it should be, Johnson. Just because we have a slight difference. That's not how it should be. I don't root for you to lose all your shit. I don't root for you to go down. I don't root for you to lose your home. I don't root for you to lose your job or your friends. I root for you to look at this a different way. Meanwhile, you root for me to lose my shit. So you know what? You're not a good person at all, okay? And I know that's fine. People don't care. You're insightful or inciting. You're a crazy-ass comedian. Fine. But you know what, dog? You got to be a person, a human being first. Be a good person. All right. I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to stop. But I'm going to go to phone calls. God, great. I'm going to go to phone calls, man. We need to go to phone calls. That's what we need to do. We need to go to phone calls, bring people in, let them talk. I do want to apologize for yesterday. While I was doing my live stream yesterday.
All right. So what we heard there, what we just heard from Tim Black, I thought that his points are, very well taken. This pretty much sums up the gist of that hour-long or however long discussion that I had with Steve Alvarez on that channel, on that segment that we did, that you can find the link to in the description box below. This was pretty much where we came down on the issue, which was that, the problem with Jimmy here and what he's pointing out is that it's not enough for Jimmy to just have a disagreement. It's a strategic disagreement. It's just a nuanced strategic disagreement. Listen, we're not going to agree on 100% of things, and we should be able to have a disagreement on the left without resorting to personal ad hominem attacks on people's character because they have one slight strategic disagreement with you. I disagree with Tim Black here. Actually, I disagree with Tim Black on strategy. Tim, and that's my boss. Look at it. I'm speaking out against my boss, I'm not afraid to say it. I was actually, yesterday I was calling into Tim Black's show actually. And unfortunately, while I was waiting on hold, during the call-in segment on the show, the live stream just cut out and got disconnected. And so I wasn't able to get through to say my bit, but I wanted to call in to weigh in on this last night. And so this is kind of the video that I'm doing as a follow-up to that. So I want to hopefully get in some of what I wanted to say on Tim Black's live stream last night. I want to hopefully get in some of that, but I completely agree with Tim Black here. It's okay to disagree with folks on the left. That's totally acceptable. It's understandable. It's expected to have disagreements on the left. What's not expected, what's not acceptable is when we go from, minor strategic disagreements to, what did Jimmy Dore do here? What is it? Is that not cancel culture? How is this not cancel culture to its extreme right here? Telling Tim Black, you're done. You're done. What the fuck is that? Like, why does it have to go to the point? And, the thing is with Jimmy Dore, he holds a certain amount of power on the left. All right. He has a significant following. He's got a rabid base. He's got some really loyal, rabid fans. And when you say anything to speak out against Jimmy Dore, check out the comments on the last Jimmy Dore video I did. Check out any video that we do on Jimmy Dore. You get folks like the Yang Gang. You get the Jimmy Gents. I don't know. That sounds, like I'm stereotyping them as all male, and I'm not. I'm sure there's plenty of women in there, plenty of folks of color. I'm sure it's a diverse grouping. But you get these folks that will show up and they're just diehards for Jimmy Dore, but not necessarily diehards for the movement, and that's when we start to have like a cult of personality. That is counterproductive to me. That's destructive. It's counterproductive. I don't like to get down into the weeds on these personal, attack things, but this is unique to me. And this is something that needs to be addressed because, people will say like, oh, well, why are you devolving into the personal attacks? Why are you getting down into the weeds of that? And the problem is that, why are you turning this into personal attacks against Jimmy? And the thing is that, like, I don't want to. And I would much rather be covering other things, policy-based issues, focus on policy and strategy, policy and strategy. But the problem is that, Jimmy inserts himself as a part of the story. And he always feels the need to sort of like, he just, the scorched earth politics BS, where it's like, if you disagree with him on any fine, small point, even if you agree on all this other stuff, he can't find a way to sort of, bridge that gap and have that conversation in a constructive, productive way where it helps move the left forward. No, it's got to be crabs in a barrel, tear each other down. You're a phony boot licking coward. Again, we can disagree on the strategy, and we should disagree on the strategy issues, and we should have the debate out. And it's crazy because I'm agreeing with Jimmy on the basic, the basic underlying strategy there of leveraging the vote against Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House to get some sort of gain, right? So before I give my full analysis on this and really just dive into my thoughts on this, I got to show you two last things that I just gotta show you, and then we will, we'll jump in, we'll take comments, we'll chat, we'll discuss, and we'll work through this. But before I do, I just want to show you two things. The first is just a tweet from David Sirota, and then we'll actually just take a quick look at his article. I think, or maybe I'll just, maybe I can just reference it. We might not even have to go through it, but. David Sirota tweeted out, and that we heard Jimmy Dore attacking David Sirota, saying he's a coward, he's spineless, he doesn't want to get the medical care for all floor vote, he's just too much of a coward, bootlicking coward. Here's David Sirota tweeting out. He says, "I agree with Jimmy Dore and Brianna Joy Gray. Would be very good to get a Medicare for all floor vote. I've said that for the entire week. What are we arguing about? Seriously, can someone explain what we're arguing about?" If you don't believe him, let's just take a look, because he says, hey, I've been saying I support it all week or whatever, let's just take a quick look. In case you don't believe him, I'm going to share. I just want to show you just a quick scroll through the Jacobin article that David Sirota wrote that we covered on, the segment last night. So we're going to take a quick look at that. Before we do, just quickly, let me tell you, if you're watching this right now and you haven't done so already, I'm going to ask that you please immediately hit that like button down below, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video out so we can help grow the channel and spread the word. All right. So please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And if you can afford to do so, please support independent Black left media on Coffee at ko-fi.com/radical democracy, or on Patreon at patreon.com/radical democracy. Links to both of those are in the description box below, and you can support this show for as low as just $1, and your support means the world to us. So please do so. If we'll keep an eye out, if we see any donations come in while we're live streaming, we will give you a massive shout out right here on the live stream. So please go do that now and help support the show, and then we will be forever indebted to you. All right. So let me just take a quick look at this. This piece in Jacobin real quick. We'll just give a quick scroll through just so you can see, what Sirota was saying in here. So we'll just take a quick look at that, and then I'll give all my thoughts on this. All right. So this is an article in Jacobin by David Sirota. It's called 5 Things House Progressives Can Do to Advance Medicare for All. And he says right at the beginning of it, says, forcing a House floor vote on Medicare for all isn't a bad idea, but we should prioritize wielding power over engaging in spectacles. And there are several steps progressive lawmakers like AOC can take to substantively shift power towards Medicare for all supporters. And I just want to show you one bit, one segment from this. He says, so he says, over the weekend, there's been a debate raging on social media in which some progressive critics began demanding that lawmakers like AOC use their votes in the upcoming House Speaker election as leverage to get a commitment for a floor vote on Medicare for all. The idea is that because the House is so narrowly divided, a handful of progressive icons in Congress could torpedo Nancy Pelosi's bid to get reelected Speaker unless she agrees to schedule such a vote. And he says a floor vote on existing Medicare for all legislation could absolutely be a useful organizing tool. It could clarify which Democratic lawmakers actually support the idea, which Democrats are merely feigning support by just co-sponsoring the bill but not voting for it, and which Democrats actively oppose it. That would provide a helpful roadmap for future primaries and pressure against its opponents. He says, however, only asking for that performative vote rather than also asking for things that might change the structural power dynamic would be a waste. And yet another instance of progressives reverting to a feckless tradition of prioritizing spectacles rather than wielding of actual power. All right. So he says, only asking for a performative vote rather than also asking for things that might change the structural power dynamic would be a waste. So he is not saying he does not support asking for the Medicare for all vote. He does support that. He's saying we shouldn't only do that. Let's do more. Let's be less cowardly. Let's be more bold. All right. Let's be bolder and let's be more radical. And I don't even call it radical. Let's just be bolder in our strategy. This isn't cowardice here. This is not what I call cowardice. That's not bootlicking cowardice to me. That is, strategic strength in saying, listen, great, Jimmy Dore. That's a solid idea. Good starting point. But I don't think your strategy goes far enough. We should do that, but we should ask for even more. You tell me how that translates to David Sirota's a coward who doesn't support a vote on Medicare for all. And now I'm going to sit around and personally attack him, spend, energy and effort and suck up oxygen on the left, attacking David Sirota as if he's some, coward, sucker, bootlicking, whatever, like neoliberal shill who is grifter. Like he acted like he's a grifter who's just out for he said he's just looking for another job in the Democratic Party. Like the dude just worked for Bernie Sanders. That's not exactly where you go in the campaign you work for when you want a future in Democratic Party politics. All right. So let's not kid ourselves here. All right. So Jimmy is just he's so out of line on this, and the thing about Jimmy is he's just got to, it's this he's got to, and this just feels like clickbait bullshit to just grow his own, personal platform and expand his own fan base. And it comes across honestly in a little bit of the way of like the Donald Trump throwing red meat to his base when there's really nothing substantive behind it, really, and I just cannot emphasize enough that I actually agreed more with Jimmy Dore on the overlying strategy than I agree with Tim Black. Tim Black's take on this was that essentially he felt that we were endangering. I don't know if I don't think that I read that. I should have read that bit. Let me actually go back and just quickly read this bit here so that you can see what Tim Black's strategy was all about. That set Jimmy off on this response in the first place. But here, take a look at this, and just so that we actually see this tweet. So this is what Tim Black said that Jimmy Dore told him that he's done for. Tim Black said, asking the squad to vote against Pelosi is tantamount to asking them to quit their jobs. At least admit it. Be real about it. Also admit we don't have the votes to pass Medicare for all. So in the end, it's an exercise to, quote, root out faux progressives. Good night. So that's Tim's take. And listen, I disagree with Tim here. I disagree with him. I do not believe that that asking them to force this vote is tantamount to asking them to quit their jobs. The people, their supporters sent them to Congress to challenge party leadership. If they wanted more of the Democratic Party, norms and status quo, they wouldn't have sent these progressives to Congress, the people that voted for AOC and vote for these representatives, they want people that are willing to stand up to Democratic Party leadership. And I do not think that this risks their jobs in any way, shape, or form. I get it. I know what the counterpoint to that will be. I know that they will say that, you gotta, that people will use this as attack ads. Centrists will come out and use this as attack ads to say, oh no, if you tank Nancy Pelosi speakership and give it to a Republican, then centrists will be able to come out in the next elections and run against the progressives, saying, oh, look at that, these progressives are too radical. They gave power to Republicans, essentially. The reality is, look, Nancy Pelosi has been Speaker of the House for the past 4 years. What progressive legislation have we gotten? The CARES Act, maybe, but that was a bill that was really bipartisan and agreed on all sides. I just don't think that you needed a Nancy Pelosi as House Speaker in order to get the CARES Act passed. Everybody at that point was willing and went along with that. And so, 4 years of Nancy Pelosi as Speaker, I don't see it doesn't hold that much value to me. And so I don't think that it will be as dangerous as what Tim Black is suggesting here. Also, if the Democrats were willing to do that, that means that the Democrats are more willing to lose the speakership than to just simply hold a vote for Medicare for all. I mean, if they hate Medicare for all and a vote for Medicare for all is so bad for Medicare for all, like I hear some leftists saying, oh, a vote for Medicare for all could be bad for Medicare for all because it's not going to pass. Well, then if these people really hate, were against Medicare for all, they should want to support that. They should want to have the vote because they don't like Medicare for all and the vote's going to hurt it anyways, right? But I digress. Tim Black also goes on to say that, just admit that we don't have the votes to pass Medicare for all. So in the end, it's an exercise to just root out faux progressives. Listen, I agree that just asking for the vote for Medicare for all would be just an exercise to root out faux progressives. And as Benjamin Dixon proposed, might not even be that effective, potentially might not be that effective if you look at what happened with the $15 minimum wage vote, right? The problem with this, though, that I would say is that, and this is where David Sirota really stepped in and had great suggestions, is that we can go further than just asking for the Medicare for all House vote. And that is the important thing. There is a provision in the ACA that gives Joe Biden and the American Prospect, David Dayen and the American Prospect have detailed this out. And, you can check it out on their site, the American Prospect, in something called the Day One Agenda. They're doing really great work with that over there. And they have shown how, through a provision in the Affordable Care Act, Joe Biden can use his executive power to grant states the ability to essentially provide Medicare, to expand their Medicare programs, and to essentially provide Medicare for all on essentially a state-by-state or regional basis. And so there's a provision in the ACA to do that. And what the Democrats could do is they could pass a House resolution. They could hold a vote. They could demand that they get to hold a vote for a House resolution that would demand that Joe Biden use his executive authority to pass this, to use this provision in the ACA to pass Medicare for all, essentially in a state-by-state or regional basis. So that is real. That is something real. That is something substantive that we can get. That's not, because I agree, getting the Medicare for all House vote, and I've talked about this already, it is not going to get, just because you get the House floor vote on Medicare for all, does not mean that a single person is going to have health care expanded to them. And that's my real concern. And if that's your real concern, then David Sirota's piece in Jacobin is actually really important, because it says that we're not taking the strategy far enough. And in fact, I think that it really helps. If anything, it bolsters Jimmy Dore's, strategy, because what it does is it creates a situation where, listen, you go to the negotiating table with a whole list of demands, and maybe you don't get that list of demands, but maybe the one thing you do get is the House floor vote, right? But you got to go to the negotiating table with asking for more than what you're ultimately willing to settle for. Otherwise, if you start from a compromised position in a negotiation, you're only going to have to further compromise from that, right? So let's not start from a position of compromise out of the gate. Let's start with some real bold demands here, right? And let's ask for more. And we're just so used to, progressives and the left are just so used to getting so little in this country that even when we fight, we have these really outrageous sort of fights on the left. They're over things that ultimately result in largely performative measures. You know, a House floor vote on Medicare for all is largely performative. And I do understand and agree with the strategy of getting Democrats on record voting no against healthcare for people in the middle of a pandemic. I see a ton of political benefit to that for progressives. And so I totally agree with that strategy. I just think we need to do much more than just performative measures. And we need to try to actually secure Medicare for all in some substantive way. And one thing that I really wanted to, you know, and the reason why I was calling into Tim Black's show last night was to really hammer this point home about leverage. I believe that this is one of the last moments that progressives in the House are going to have leverage for the next 2 to 4 years, honestly. Like once this vote's over, like where is their power going to be, you know, wielded? Where are they going to wield power? What power does the left have? Look at the Biden administration, y'all. Like we're not winning here. The left isn't winning. And we do need to fight and use our leverage where we can use our leverage. I think that Tim Black very much understood, you know, and does understand the concept of political leverage, because he was arguing for it and, you know, telling Black people we need to learn to use our leverage, you know, to leverage our vote for Biden before the election, you know, leverage our vote, you know, leverage, you know, support the Ice Cube and Derek Hamilton, you know, contract with Black America, and use that leverage before you give up your vote, right? Because that's how politics works. All these people need from us is their vote, right? That's the leverage that we have. And so you got to use the leverage when you have it. Once we give them our vote, it's over, right? So once they give Nancy Pelosi her vote, it's over. Their powers, it's the administration's locked in, the House, you know, committee ships and all that. You know, AOC's response, and we covered this last night, but AOC's response was that you could get a $15 minimum wage vote and progressives in some leadership positions. Listen, go ask for progressives in leadership positions as well. I think that's another demand to add to the list, right? Good, add that demand. But you need to use this leverage, because I don't know what the magical leverage that progressives are going to have after this, you know, after Nancy Pelosi takes power as the Speaker of the House. You know, she's already said she doesn't plan to run again after this term. So this is it for her. This is the last time we're going to be able to leverage Nancy Pelosi for something. And I do think that there is that we should be using this leverage here in this way. I just think that we should be asking for way more than this, this performative Medicare for all House vote. I think that we could do way better than that. So, all right. So, let me see. So, I see it as, and nobody's talking about canceling AOC or canceling any of the squad members or progressive legislators. Like, Jimmy Dore has some of that cancel culture rhetoric in his, with his rhetoric, but nobody that I, rock with is really talking about canceling AOC or the squad for this. It's just about applying pressure, and why pressure AOC and the squad and the progressives and not the rest of the centrist, Congress people, because they're the ones that will listen to us, right? They're the ones that actually, agree with us on policy and some of the strategy. And they're the ones that, we have their ear, right? We're the ones that got them into Congress. We're the ones that got them into power. So those are the people that we hold leverage with, right? And so I don't think that it's crazy to apply pressure to elected officials. And I think that nobody, no elected official, no person, nobody is beyond reproach. Not myself, not Tim Black, not Jimmy Dore, not AOC, not Nina Turner, not Cori Bush, not Bernie Sanders. I criticize the hell out of Bernie Sanders, especially, you see these posters behind me, but, after Bernie Sanders just gave over all of his leverage to Joe Biden, after, endorsed Joe Biden right out the gate with no concessions made, I spoke out against that. And so I've been on record, and I'm not a Bernie-crat. I challenged Bernie Sanders. I thought that he was useful in a moment, and I think that he helped spark a progressive movement, but I don't think that he is the entire progressive movement. I don't think any politician, any person is beyond reproach. That's part of what we need to do, is hold these people in power accountable. And, certainly when you have a large of a platform as a Jimmy Dore or even Tim Black, he has a decent sized platform, 150K subscribers or so, we have to hold everyone accountable, right? Nobody is beyond reproach. And even though he's technically my boss, he's not beyond reproach for me, and I'll criticize even if it may put my job at risk, No, I don't think that he would do that, but don't do that to me, bro. All right, but let me just see. I want to make sure I hit all these points. So, yeah, I just want to say, so some hypocrisy from Jimmy Dore. If you saw Jimmy Dore's rhetoric on Tulsi Gabbard after Tulsi Gabbard flip-flopped on Medicare for All, Jimmy Dore defended her to the death. All right. So this idea that Tim Black is a coward, bootlicking sucker because he is, you know, seemingly defending AOC and the squad over this is complete bullshit and completely hypocritical coming from Jimmy Dore, who went to the mat for Tulsi Gabbard after she clearly flip-flopped on Medicare for All. And as far as I'm concerned, put that, you know, endangered that movement. You know, she damaged the Medicare for All movement, Tulsi Gabbard did. And I must, you know, generally speaking, you know, I like Tulsi Gabbard and, you know, I was supportive of her run. I just was not, you know, I wasn't a Tulsi Gabbard supporter in that sense. I supported Bernie Sanders and did not hide that in any way, shape, or form because I do not believe she had the correct rhetoric. She was talking about Medicare for all choice, you know, like that's bullshit. That's BS rhetoric. That's a public option. It's not Medicare for all. It's not universal health care. And we should absolutely be able to call politicians on their bullshit. Jimmy Dore was completely incapable of doing that with Tulsi Gabbard. And it was because he wanted to maintain access. He said he liked her because she came on a show and she shouted him out on the Joe Rogan podcast. You know, that's weak, man. That's, you know, that's some coward sucker shit, you know, and that really is some real, like, that's really troublesome to me. Then what Tim Black is doing here, I think that Tim Black is actually sincere and genuine and just simply has a strategy disagreement. You know, I don't think that Tim Black is some, you know, dummy or, you know, ignorant or some grifter or any bullshit like that, right? I think that what, you know, Jimmy Dore was doing with Tulsi Gabbard was much more of a grift. And, you know, in no way, shape, or form do I believe what Tim Black is doing is grifting in any way. The dude, he goes to the fucking mat for progressives, for the black, you know, left movement, for leftists. You know, his slogan is both parties suck, Johnson. We literally, if you listen closely to our intro song for this show, you'll hear, and I've let it play out to the part where Tim Black speaks on the intro clip. Shout out to Ian, What Up America, for their work on that. Appreciate that. If you listen to that clip, you'll hear it plays the clip of Tim Black, you know, at the People's Convention, his speech from the People's Convention, where he says, you know, why do we need a new party? You know, because both parties suck, Johnson, right? So it even is part of my theme song for this show as well. And so, you know, I just think that you know, what Tim Black was doing is he just disagrees with the strategy thing. And maybe I think he's wrong, but I don't think that he's a bootlicking coward, you know, sucker who, you know, doesn't, you know, deserve the support and respect of the left. That's bullshit. And Jimmy Dore doing this devolving into personal attacks. People are like, you know, we're on Tim Black's show because I watched the call-in segment of the show, and people are on there like calling in, telling him like, oh, I think you two just need to get in a room and hug it out and all this shit. And I'm like, no, that's fucking disrespectful. Like Jimmy Dore straight up disrespected this dude. And I'm sorry, I don't want to go dragging it down into like some racist bullshit, but I personally know, man, I'm sorry, but I got to speak to it. Like, white leftists, you know, white, like, I'm sorry, you're not immune to your fucking, to, you know, just little, like, just, you know, and maybe, you know, I mean, you know, Jimmy did it. He attacked David Sirota. There's nothing racist there. I just think that you got to be a little bit more careful when you're coming at black folks. You know, we're all leftists. When you find yourself coming at black folks, just maybe just think a little bit before you just go speak out. I'm not trying to play no damn, before y'all jump down like, oh, he's playing the race card, or he's, you know, this is like sensitive in your feelings bullshit. No, it's just, come on. You don't see the overtones of like, oh, you're done. You know, who the fuck are you? And that's why I respond. You know, that's why I would have responded the same way that Tim Black did about, oh, yes, sir, massa. Like, who the fuck are you to tell me that I'm done? Who are you, you know, to say I'm done because I disagree with you on a fine little strategy point? Like, dude, that's bullshit cancel culture garbage. And all the people that claim to support Jimmy Dore, you know, seemingly support him because he's so anti-cancel culture and all this shit. Well, how the fuck is that not cancel culture when you're literally coming at somebody's pocket over this shit? Like, you know, Tim Black, when you speak out against Jimmy Dore, you lose a little bit of your support on the left, you know, because these people that are too diehard and there's too much of a cult of celebrity over Jimmy Dore and not enough, you know, focus on what is the strategy, what is the policy. Don't get wrapped up in me and Jimmy and Tim Black. Don't get wrapped up in any single person and their personality too much. Just, you know, we're just one person in a broader movement, and we all, you know, we're all gonna have disagreements at times or whatever. But I absolutely found, Jimmy's rhetoric here to be just completely destructive, counterproductive. And he does this shit all the time. Whenever somebody has a little tiny point of disagreement with him, he has to absolutely tear down that person on a personal level. It can't just be that we disagree. I mean, I was calling into Tim's show before I even knew that Jimmy went off on the whole, like, you're done bullshit. I was calling in. And I just couldn't believe that he took it to that point and not recognizing his own hypocrisy, trying to come at Tim Black over Medicare for all and, acting like Tim Black doesn't constantly advocate for Medicare for all on his program, constantly, call out, speak truth to power. That's all I see, man. I have the utmost respect for Tim Black. It's why I reached out, I'm the one, I reached out to him to work with him, it was my own doing, because I'm encouraged by the work that he does. And because I see him speaking truth to power, and especially speaking truth to power in a way that white leftists aren't even capable of doing, because if you do it as a white leftist, you will get called racist. All right. You will get called racist if you attack a black, liberal in a certain way. And so we as black leftists are here to help our comrades with that, our white comrades, and to be a shield for y'all. But y'all got to stand up with us in some real fucking solidarity and not play these little like, oh, Jimmy Dore, I like Jimmy Dore's personality more. So now that he's just outright wrong and doing some bullshit that is destructive to the left. I think that what Jimmy Dore is doing here is destructive to the left, and that it only serves to harm our movement. So we absolutely have to call that shit to account. All right. I think that I got through everything I want to say. I did not want that to take an hour, but it damn sure did. Let's get to some comments. And because I really want to get to comments. I'm sorry for ranting like that, y'all, but I just had to try to get all of that out. And I think I did. All right. So, all right, cool. Let's take a look at some comments. Should I these to read? Okay. So Skeptical Mantis Channel 10 says, Tim is repeating establishment talking points. He is latching on to the dominant narratives. Tim is not representing the oppressed here. I just disagree, with you, Skeptical Mantis, and let me explain. All right. Keep that up there for me for a second. So you say he's repeating establishment talking points. Listen. Sometimes, it's like every once in a while you're going to have some overlap. How do I phrase this? I do not believe he's latching on to dominant narratives. All right. I don't think that he's following the crowd. When does Tim Black ever just follow the crowd and just go on to dominant narratives? He's a fringe black leftist. You don't do that. You're not a black leftist commentator because you're trying to, grift on or ride along on some dominant narratives. Like, to be a black leftist is to be completely against and to speak out constantly, to have to constantly speak out against the dominant narrative, whether it be dominant narratives in centrist neoliberal spaces, or even the dominant narrative on the left in what is a largely predominantly white leftist movement. You're constantly having to speak out against the dominant narrative. And so it just seems a bit, I gotta be honest, lazy to say that Tim Black is just latching on to some dominant narrative as if he's lazy or a grifter or just, ignorant or something like that. It's like, no, he just disagrees with us. He has a very nuanced take there. What he's saying, he's not just saying, sorry guys, we can't, you can't do this. Just don't challenge AOC in any way. Don't criticize AOC in any way, or progressives or the squad in any way. I don't think that's what he's saying. He's adamantly against, and he constantly speaks out against Nancy Pelosi. All right. I see him do it all the time. All right. Just constantly. All right. He goes after Nancy Pelosi. So I don't think he's taking some easy way out, or he just disagrees. And why can't we just say, it's just a point of disagreement, and then have the debate and hold the argument, not on a personal level of having to say ad hominem, oh, you're just going with the dominant narrative. Just argue the actual argument, debate the argument at hand. That's it. That's what we should be doing on the left. Do not, devolve into saying, why are we trying to characterize him? We don't know him like that. I work with him. I don't know him like that to be able to characterize. You don't know what's in his head like that. Why do we have to reach there? let's just not do that. It's a waste of time. It's counterproductive. You know, it's just it's not constructive, right? So I just don't think that we need to go there. Let's just debate it out on the merits of the actual argument at hand, and not waste our time in those sort of trying to get into what people are thinking, or to try to tell somebody who's spends his whole life and, you know, has committed his career to speaking truth to power, to holding power accountable, and has, you know, just spent the last 6 years of his life trying to fight for oppressed and marginalized people, then turn around and say, you know, he's not representing marginalized people now. No, maybe his strategy, you know, doesn't, you know, you feel like it doesn't help marginalized people. But I do think that he's always sitting there trying his best to represent marginalized people, because he's a marginalized person himself. Like, Tim Black ain't some rich ballin' ass, CNN commentator or MSNBC host. Like, the dude's a freaking, you know, black leftist with 150,000 subscribers on YouTube. You know, Jimmy Dore has a much larger platform than him. He's been doing it a longer time. You know, Jimmy Dore he's been on TYT. He has a much larger platform. Like, I just don't see it. I don't see it. All right. So I disagree with you, Skeptical Manus, on that point. All right. Any other comments we want to get to? I'm sure there's a lot. And if you haven't done so already, please do me a favor, hit the like button down below, right down below there, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, please, please, please subscribe to the channel. Even if you disagree with me on this, subscribe to the channel so that we can get into more debates like this. We have to be able to support independent left media, even if you don't agree with every single word I ever say. All right. Still subscribe to the channel. All right. Support independent black left media. And if you can afford to do so, I will ask that you please support us on Coffee or Patreon for as low as $1. There are links in the description box below. Check us out and support for as low as $1. All right. All right. Getting back to it. Comments. Tiago Rafa 7 says, Tim has been attacking Jimmy for over a year now. Why can't we all just be comrades? Listen, you're going to have to give me more specifics on that, because when I see, what I've seen from Tim, I haven't seen him attack. I edit his videos. I've been editing videos of his for the past few months. I've not once seen him attack Jimmy Dore, not a single time. So in fact, I've seen him say things in support of Jimmy Dore constantly. I think he said here in that segment that he considers him a friend. Tiago says that Tim made fun of Jimmy's medical condition and trashed him like crazy for over a year. I'm sorry, but that's why Jimmy was so rude with his response. I like them both, by the way. Listen, so keep that up for me for a second, just so I can keep, I don't know what medical condition you're referring to, or that, or any instance of Tim Black doing that. These are just, I'm not in the weeds. I don't pay close enough attention to this sort of like personal stuff, back and forth. If he did, like, I don't want to see anybody be an ableist attacking somebody's medical conditions. I really need to see, drop some links if you can, or references. Tell us where you're finding this at. I'll try to, take a look at, okay, his back problem. Not cool, like whatever. But they're both comedians and they do this stuff, so I'd really have to see context on it. I can't speak to that really. But to say that that's why Jimmy Dore now has a pass to come on here and, call Tim Black a phony bootlicker and tell him that he's done. No, I'm sorry. That just doesn't, those two things don't, that just doesn't equate to me. That doesn't compute to me. It's just a reach to go from, there was a substantive thing being argued here, and Jimmy Dore took it off of the substantive disagreement and onto personal attacks. And I just think that that's counterproductive on the left. And I agree. I'm generally speaking, I like both of them. I'm Jimmy a little bit less, I'll be honest, but generally speaking, and I've followed Jimmy, and I did like Jimmy for a long time. So, I'm not like an anti-Jimmy person. I did a video like in support of him before I saw the whole Tim Black controversy. Watch my video from last night. I said repeatedly, I agree with Jimmy Dore, and thank you for that. Thank you for the comment though, Tiago. Appreciate that. Tammy says, like comrades can disagree on strategies and small points without dragging out into Twitter beef / drama. Exactly. And we can have these debates in a constructive way that actually helps us to move these things forward. And as soon as we devolve into the personal attacks, it distracts. It's a distraction, right? And I just find Jimmy to be a distraction on the left. Like he is, he has too big of a platform, and he's too powerful to be doing this. And especially when you're attacking a smaller black left channel that you agree on 99% of things. If we can't have those debates out in a decent, cordial, constructive way amongst ourselves, well, that's the weakness on the left. Not that they're not, they don't got enough strength. They're not showing enough strength with challenging, Speaker of the House and things like that. What I would say is that would be the biggest weakness on the left is that we're cannibalizing each other and we're tearing each other down like crabs in a barrel. That would be a far bigger weakness to me, that we can't get our own shit together. And so what I saw from Tim was a visceral response to a personal attack. Once somebody drags you down into that personal attack bullshit, then it's hard not to respond viscerally. All right. When I'm sorry, but especially for black folks that are just used to this bullshit, from every which direction. And I'm not trying to play some just weak race card shit here, but I just got to be acknowledged. And it's a damn shame that I got to keep saying this because I feel like, I'm going to lose support on the left if I don't comfort the white leftists enough. I got to make sure all the white leftists are totally comfortable. They don't recognize their own, ingrained, internalized, covert racism when they, just go after, telling some black dude, you're done, you're a, fucking phony bootlicker. Like, that's just crazy when the whole his entire fucking platform is about holding power accountable, holding truth to power, speaking truth to power. Next comments. Skeptical Manta says Jimmy and Tim may agree on 80% of policy issues, but not about strategy. Tim is whack. Sorry. I mean, how they literally tell me stuff that they disagree on strategy. Before this, what were the strategy points that they disagree with? They're both People's Party, advocates, third party advocates, both voted green in 2016 and 2020. They both got grouped into the dumb left. They literally considered each other friends, and they don't agree on just 80% as far as I'm concerned. As from what I've seen, and I've followed pretty closely on this stuff, it's 99% of what I've seen. They agree on, the substantive policy and substantive strategy matters. Again, I don't watch enough to see all the little in the weed shit. But Skeptical Manta says it's not like this split developed overnight. This is years in the making. Sometimes splitting a movement can strengthen the movement. Depends on the circumstances. I do not see how in the world splitting an already small, powerless movement, how fracturing that movement would empower us in any way. How does fracturing our movement? We are already small. We're already not the majority. How does fracturing us and dividing us further? How does that strengthen us? How are we, divide and conquer is the strategy, right? This is helping with, this is assisting, this is a self-divide and conquer strategy here. And I just don't see how that could possibly help strengthen or embolden the left when we fracture ourselves and we have to, we take on this cult of personality. It's like, I'm a Jimmy Dore stan, and so I'm just with Jimmy Dore. I just don't find it helpful. And honestly, it's taken up time and taken up, I would have rather be talking about other substantive policy things. But instead, I gotta talk about this. Tammy says, I agree with Jimmy's take on putting pressure on AOC/squad to leverage their vote. So I disagree with Tim's passive take, but I don't see why Jimmy had to respond unconstructively. Yeah, I agree. Skeptical says, Tammy, a bunch of wannabe progressive media outlets are acting like cheerleaders, not holding people accountable. Yeah, hopefully, you know that that's not us. We ain't cheerleading for nobody. Tim Black ain't cheerleading for nobody and never has. So I don't get why we got to go to that level. That's like, it's too simplistic. And it's just, it ignores the actual substance underlying it. I don't know. Tammy says, I see what you mean, but I feel like there's too much infighting on the left and we're the minority compared to liberals and centrists and right wingers. Exactly. I mean, they are, there's much more. I see better solidarity on the right wing and the far right, far more solidarity from them than I'm seeing from the left right now. I thought that this was actually going to be a not so controversial take here, and I'm kind of surprised by it. Tammy says, yeah, and I think calling out those outlets on not holding people accountable is perfectly fine, and I agree. But his response to Tim Black wasn't calling him out or debating him. It was just insults. Exactly. This was not a substantive disagreement where we then had some productive argument or debate out. It wasn't. He just went immediately to phony bootlicker. You're done. How the fuck? How do you want somebody to respond to that? you know, what's the response to that? When you come on, man, like these people, I swear, folks on the left swear that they understand like black issues. I don't know how you can't see that and see how the nature of that and how that would piss a black person off to have, you know, a supposed white comrade telling you you're a phony bootlicker in that, you know, you're done. How is that rhetoric not hyperbolic and destructive and counterproductive? And how the hell do you want a Tim Black or anyone else to respond to something like that? Oh, he's supposed to be polite and nice and kiss Jimmy's ass. What the fuck? Like, man. And this is why I see a rift between black and white leftists, even, man. Like I just don't see the kind of support that I need to see, man. From I don't know, man. I want. Tammy says, yeah, disagreeing with politics is valid to call out, but you said to consider the power dynamics between Sirota and Jimmy. But what about between Jimmy and Tim Black? Exactly. Like, come on. There is a clear power dynamic between Jimmy Dore. Let me quickly, like, let me see Jimmy Dore's YouTube and see if I can find what his subscriber count is versus. Okay, so Jimmy Dore has 840,000 subscribers. Tim Black has 150,000. All right. So you're talking about literally, what is that? 5 times, as you know, more than 5 times the platform of Tim Black. You know, he's been on, you know, he's had a job on TYT. He's got 850,000 subscribers. You know, he has a far bigger platform than Tim Black. So I don't see how we don't recognize, you know, not just that power dynamic, but it sickens me that I'm afraid to say this, and it sucks because here on the left, it should not be a problem for black people to point out that there is some issues, you know, that we have to acknowledge about the racial power dynamic here as well. When you got a white person telling a black dude, you're done, like you control me, like you control me somehow. What the fuck? Who are you? Who the fuck are you to tell me I'm done? Who the fuck are you? Like, man, I hope that when some white leftist attacks me like that, like y'all aren't selling me up the fucking river like that. That would really suck, man. It sucks to see. I could see that it was hurtful. You know, Tim Black last night, it hurt to see so many people just like calling in people that, you know, say they agree with them and not recognizing that there was you know, there's something else here that's problematic about the way that Jimmy approached this shit. And let's just call that out. And we can call that out while still saying, listen, I'm all behind this. I'm saying I disagree with Tim Black on the strategy without saying that he's a phony bootlicking, you know, coward who's done. Like, how come I can disagree with him in that way? Yeah. So yeah, agree with that there is a power dynamic, not just, you know, there's a power dynamic in just the size of their platforms. And then also, I think there's a racial power dynamic at play as well. You know, as a white leftist, people just take white people more. You gain credibility. People look at our faces, you know, they just see our skin color, and immediately we lose a little bit of credibility. Or we're probably not as smart. We're probably not as educated, probably not as well read, probably don't know the theory, you know, what are we an expert on? You know, it's all subconscious too. So people just, people aren't even, you know, actively thinking about this, and it happens anyways, but whatever. I don't want to dig into that too far. So any more comments that we want to get to? Yep. Yep. And Tammy said what I just said there, and not just talking about the racial power dynamic. Exactly. Yep. You know, platform size. Yep. Oh, that's a good point. Hold on. Tammy says, Tim Black has a smaller platform and Jimmy has been doing political commentary a lot longer. But Jimmy saying you're done is implying he has the power to cancel Tim Black. Yeah. And he's saying that's a threat. He's threatening his livelihood. Like, Tim Black is a black dude who literally relies on this to survive, you know, to feed himself, to feed his family. He is not some rich, wealthy, you know, capitalist, you know, like whatever. Like, the dude is you know, a struggling independent left media personality. And to say that and use that rhetoric is cancel culture 101. This is the cancel culture that is actually problematic. And I want to see some of the Jimmy Dore fans who constantly love his anti-cancel culture rhetoric. Where is that at now? You know, because why do you not recognize when your guy is out here trying to cancel a solid black leftist that fights for the goddamn people day in and day out? And why can't we acknowledge that, man? All right, keep going. Try to keep flipping through these. I'm going to keep this segment to an hour and a half, I promise. I really got to keep these segments 30 minutes or less. But Tammy says, not to say disagreement on strategies is a small matter. It's important, but it shouldn't be to the extent of purism. Yep. I'm tired of playing the passive game, though, and think the progressives in Congress/House need to start leveraging those votes finally, because we don't owe the Dems shit. Tired of waiting and begging for scraps. Yeah, and I disagree, with anyone that thinks that like risking a Republican as Speaker of the House is this big, scary, dangerous thing. I just disagree with that, and I do absolutely agree that this is the moment, this is the time. We need to leverage that vote, but we need to be demanding a hell of a lot more than just a House floor vote on Medicare for all. We need a hell of a lot more, and we need substantive things that can actually bring about Medicare for all and expanded health care to everyday Americans. And the way we do that is what I believe is the David Sirota strategy. Check out his article in Jacobin that we covered here. Check out the David Sirota article in Jacobin on this. Tiago Rafa says, I think these two need to make up already. Tim shouldn't have started with the insults. Tim did not start with the insults, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro, I won't gender you, but like, Tim did not start with the insults, comrade. Like, you may have some background, but we're talking about this debate right here. Tim made what seems to be a substantive critique, that listen, this is going to damage the progressives. Listen, we can disagree with his take. All right. Where it turned to insults was Jimmy Dore saying you're a phony bootlicker and you're done. I didn't see a single insult from Tim Black before that. All right. Tiago says they just need to talk like two adults. I hope they make up. Listen, that rhetoric all is type of shit that you don't realize you're doing it, Tiago, but that's that kind of like this type of rhetoric can help to up. People are going to say you're too extreme, Kamala, you're going to, you're being too ID politics type shit. You got to recognize where that is the sort of white supremacy in saying, oh, these two just need to make up. You got a white leftist, ad hominem attacking a black leftist. The two don't need to just make up. Sure, I agree they need to make up, but it needs to come through the way that we need to phrase that and frame that is that Jimmy Dore needs to fucking apologize for the blatant disrespect to Tim Black, and we can start it there. And once he apologizes for the just ad hominem blatant disrespect, then we can get past that and get to the policy discussion and the substance of the strategy disagreement. And yes, then in that case, and I do think I want to see a united left. I want to see us build a united left. But what I'm starting to fear more and more is that Jimmy is antithetical to a united left, that we may not be able to build as united left with folks like Jimmy Dore having such a large platform and still, and his supporters not recognizing these things and simply just doing the like, oh, I stand for Jimmy thing, instead of like trying to hold a nuanced critique of the situation. You can agree with Jimmy Dore on the strategy, but nobody should agree with Jimmy Dore on his rhetoric against Tim Black here and that strategy there. There's nothing to agree with on Jimmy Dore on the way that he tears down David Sirota and Tim Black. Skeptical says, do you guys really think nobody is grifting the left, though? Most of these commentators are cheerleaders, nothing more. If you're going to grift, Tiago says, stop with these grifting comments. Nobody is grifting. Dude, if you're going to grift, you would have to be a fucking idiot to grift on the left, okay? We're the smallest fucking, block in the country. We are tiny, all right? We're tiny. We are not powerful. Who the fuck is going to grift on the left? I'm sorry. No, I do not think there is a single person grifting on the left. I just do not agree with that rhetoric whatsoever, point blank period. There is no grift. If you're going to grift into centrism, grift into neoliberalism, grift into conservatism. Look at what Candace Owens does is grifting, okay? What Michael Eric Dyson does is grifting, all right? What Tim Black and Jimmy Dore and these tiny little leftists that, are, they're struggling independent media folks, not Jimmy Dore necessarily. I mean, I think Jimmy Dore got like a multi-million-dollar home right now. Jimmy Dore ain't struggling. He ain't exactly a member of the proletariat anymore. Tammy says there's not significant or enough gain for Tim to be a leftist. Exactly. Like there's just nothing to gain in being a leftist. That's not where you grift. If you're going to grift, if you're going to do something, grifting is when you are misrepresenting yourself. You're saying things that you don't believe to be true simply because you think that there's some personal or financial value to that, and that's grifting. And you just don't do that and stay out here on the marginalized left, in this like marginalized space on YouTube, in independent media. It's just it's nonsensical. Tammy says, I don't think you can grift as a black leftist. There's literally no significant gain. Exactly. Like there's no lane for it. Skeptical Man says, Tammy, is he not making a career off of it? Listen, there's a million things you can make. Tammy says, compared to Jimmy Dore, not as much. Yeah, is Jimmy Dore a grifter because he's making a living off of speaking out on the stuff on the left? Like, is that not more of a grift then? How can we say that Tim Black is grifting but not Jimmy Dore? And listen, I don't agree that either one is really grifting, to be honest. Tammy says he's making a living, not drowning in wealth. Yeah, and this is really sad rhetoric coming from the left. If we can't recognize when someone is this is a working class person. Tim is a working class person, and we need to recognize that he's working class. All right, and to treat this like whatever. Okay, so Tammy says the grifters on the left are liberals faking being left, but I don't think Jimmy nor Tim are grifters. Yeah, and I really don't see a lot of lane for grifting to the left. I just don't. Mark McKeever says the pandemic has gotten to Jimmy big time. He no longer has the outlet of his live shows to vent with a like-minded audience. He's lashing out more than usual. Yeah, I totally relevant point there. Good point, Mark McKeever. Shout out to our Patreon supporter, Mark McKeever there, or maybe coffee. Yeah. Tiago Rafa says, when your rationale for not opposing Pelosi and Schumer is the same as the U.S. rationale for staying in Iraq and Afghanistan, it just feels like reaching, what's the rationale there? You got to be more specific there, because I'm not exactly, maybe you went on. Did you continue on? No. Okay. Keep in mind the power relations here. Sirota was one of the most powerful people in the Bernie campaign. Jimmy is just a commentator who has been smeared for years because he rocks the boat. Jimmy has do we want to check Jimmy's Patreon right now? Real quick, I'm gonna. Okay. I really would like to pull up Jimmy Dore's Patreon and see what his income is like. Tammy says, yeah, disagreeing with politics is valid to call out, but you said to consider the power dynamics between Sirota and Jimmy. But what about between Jimmy and Tim Black? Yeah, we saw that. So, no, for sure. Yeah. So I would, I'd be interested to see, what Jimmy Dore's Patreon looks like, or what his I don't know. All right, I can't see the actual amount earned. Whatever. Okay, whatever. But whatever. Skeptical Mantis says Sirota represents status quo. He represents the failed or self-sabotage leadership that has captured the progressive movement. Yet people act like Jimmy is bullying David. Nobody's talking about bullying really here. It's just about, I don't think that Jimmy's bullying David. I think that David Sirota will be just fine. He has his own independent platform, but let's be real. He's an independent investigative journalist. None of these people are really they're not, to say that David Sirota represents can you pull that comment up real quick? Just they represent some failed or self-sabotage leadership. Man, I mean, this is a bit discouraging for the left, because I feel like we really caught up on shit like this, and we don't have an idea of a clear idea of who is on our side and who isn't. I mean, David Sirota, Bernie Sanders, are these people that we just, we disagree with them on some strategic points, and so we just completely cast them out and say they're dead to us. They're failures. He got a job in the Bernie campaign. I just don't consider that some big position of leadership. Brianna Joy Gray had a position in the Bernie leadership, in the Bernie campaign. She had a position of leadership in the Bernie campaign, national press secretary. She's not some powerful person because of it. People that were on Bernie's campaign, they tell her oh, you'll never find a job in politics again. You don't work on progressive movements because you want as a career move. It's just not a career move. It's not a great career move. Pedro Cantor says, David is just concocting a reason to argue with Jimmy. Whatever David is splitting hairs. Get behind this Medicare for all push or don't. I mean, I don't see. Did you see the what we showed from David Sirota? He is behind the Medicare for all push. Why does it have to be? You have to get behind it in our very specific way, or you know, fuck off and fuck you or whatever. It can't. What David is pushing for is better, in my opinion. It's more, it's bolder. So why, you know, this isn't a Medicare for all push, by the way, Pedro. This isn't a Medicare for all push. It's a it's a Medicare for all vote push that we know is not legislation that will ever pass. So let's not kid ourselves into thinking that this gets us, you know, substantively closer to Medicare for all. What David Sirota was arguing was that there are actual strategic, substantive strategy points that we can actually push for that would get us far closer, far quicker to Medicare for all. I don't see how you are characterizing Jimmy Dore's position as supporting Medicare for all and characterizing David Sirota's position as not supporting Medicare for all. When one, David Sirota agreed with Jimmy Dore on the floor vote for Medicare for all, but then he says, let's go further and let's get more than that and let's ask for more than that, so that even if they negotiate us down from that, maybe we'll settle for just your Medicare for all vote. So you're just completely, you know, misrepresenting David Sirota's position there. You know, that's my take. Skeptical Mantis says, so Tim is speaking out in favor of careerism. He's been a useful idiot for the fraud squad. I hate this term, useful idiots, man. He is not. I think this is being mistaken as him somehow pushing for careerism. What he is saying is, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, he's not saying we just need to protect the squad at all costs. We can't criticize them. Don't criticize them in any way, shape, or form. That is not what I hear from him. What I see him saying is that this particular fight against the squad could end up being more damaging to the left movement and to the fight for Medicare for all if we incidentally and accidentally get those members of the squad, you know, kicked out of Congress, essentially, you know, in their you know, next elections. Because what if they tank the House speakership and then the centrists run attack ads against them saying, oh goodness, you know, look at what these progressives, these radical leftists, you know, did. They tanked Nancy Pelosi's House speakership and gave Republicans power. And let's not kid ourselves. Even though that attack line is bullshit, in my opinion, it will still be an effective attack line and could ultimately do some harm to the progressive movement. If you're not seeing that, you're just not considering a nuanced take there. Now, we may disagree with that, and it's okay to disagree with that. But let's not mischaracterize Tim Black's position as he's just trying to protect AOC and the squad. He's not. He's just saying, listen, these people are people that he believes are fighting for us. And we can have little disagreements about how, you know, how they fight and this and that. But he's not saying let's just protect them at all costs. He's saying maybe this fight isn't the right way to fight because maybe it's going to do more harm in the movement for Medicare for all. And he truly, sincerely believes that, and just is arguing on a strategy point. Hey, no, maybe we need to go with a different strategy. You know, he's accepting some of what AOC is saying. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, you know, to take that position, even if we think it's the incorrect one. I don't think that it's, you know, him doing it just as a sort of careerist. Certainly not his career. It's not a careerist move on his career. And it's not just careerism for the sake of careerism. It's actually saying, hey, let's protect these people as long as they continue to fight for us. And maybe they are right that they can fight for us in some different ways. But I don't consider this to be him just simply protecting a politician at all costs. And if we really want to talk about somebody protecting a politician at all costs, even if it meant damage to the actual Medicare for all movement, I will just draw your attention to Exhibit A, Jimmy Dore supporting Tulsi Gabbard in her Medicare for all choice plan, which is a public option during the primary campaign. All right. Jimmy went hard in the paint for Tulsi Gabbard. And he said, because she came on a show and she talked about him on Joe Rogan. Let's talk about that and how that is, you know, careerism and being more concerned about Tulsi Gabbard's career than the actual Medicare for all movement. All right. So I just think, you know, the knife cuts both ways, or whatever the hell the saying is. Tammy says on foreign policy. Oh, do you want to go back to that? Do I need to? Okay. Tammy says on foreign policy, yes, but she was weak on Medicare for all, and Dore still stand her during that. And now this debate is over pushing for Medicare for all. So what about that lack of consistency there? Exactly. That's about Tulsi Gabbard there. And sure, I think Tulsi's great on foreign policy. I think specifically on regime change wars, but I don't think that she's totally anti-war, like totally like anti-military, like anti-imperialist per se. X says, I'm keeping a close eye on the current generation of progressives in Congress. I want to see how they change over time. My cynicism tells me that the system will corrupt them all eventually. This is a great point, and I want to talk about this. X says that it's just nature. This is actually a great point and something that has been in the back of my mind, and I wanted to talk about really, in some capacity on the show in more depth at some point. But I do, in my opinion, Nina Turner is my final litmus test on this, to be honest. Cori Bush is in a way, I believe Cori Bush, but even to a larger extent, Nina Turner is going to be my final sort of litmus test on this. If Nina Turner goes in there and somehow changes up her tune and stops being the fighter that she is once she gets into Congress, then that will absolutely, in my mind, seal the deal for me. Electoral politics is, I'm done with it. If Cori Bush and Nina Turner go in there and they suddenly stop fighting for working class people and and especially particularly marginalized folks, black folks, if I see that happen, is particularly with Nina Turner because of how much of a fighter she is and how strong her rhetoric has been. As long as she's been outside of Congress, she has very strong rhetoric, not afraid to speak truth to power with any of these folks, Pelosi, even Bernie, anybody. All right. So if I see Nina Turner get into Congress, and I will be supporting her run for Congress, if I see her get in there and change her tune, then I agree with you, X. That will say it all for me. That will be the end of it for me. And you will not hear me advocate for any fight in electoral politics. Again, honestly, I will turn my attention towards grassroots, building democracy from the ground up and grassroots movements, and simply say F political electoral politics if that's the case. But I'm absolutely keeping a close watch on that because I have a hypothesis that you may be right about Congress and the corrupting nature of those institutions. All right. Because I have closely watched AOC's trajectory through Congress. I supported AOC. I was one of the first 300 people to donate to AOC. She now has over 1 million individual donors, and I was one of the first 300 people to donate to her. And I supported her primary against Joe Crowley from the day that she was announced as a Justice Democrat candidate, and so. Literally the day. So, I've kept a very close eye and close watch on her trajectory. And you'll see on this channel, I have had no trouble criticizing AOC when I feel that she's gone down the wrong path. Okay. Pedro Cantor says people should watch Richard Medhurst and Unapologetic. Great channels. I've seen clips from Richard Medhurst on YouTube, and I like what I've seen from him. I don't know Unapologetic, but I'll try to take a look at it. I'm trying to support more independent left outlets, I believe. I know Richard Medhurst talks a lot about he covers the issues in like Palestinian fight. I don't know if he is Palestinian, but he covers that, foreign policy stuff and particularly Palestine very well. And I appreciate his work on that. So definitely tell Richard to have me on his show as well. Would love to go on there with him and chat with him. And maybe we can, we'll try to have him on this show as well. Skeptical says, Pedro, yes, I'm happy to see younger commentators building their channels and challenging fake progressives. In fact, they might be to the left of Jimmy. Yeah. Pedro says we got to support those channels so the Voshes of the left don't dominate the discourse. Yes, I fucking wholeheartedly agree. Less of these covert racist white leftists like Vosh. Fuck that dude. I'm gonna do a fuck that dude. I will do a I will cover his bullshit on this channel for sure at some point. Fuck Vosh. And I say that loud and proud. Fuck you, Vosh. All right. You're a fucking clown. All right. You're a fucking tool and you're a fucking clown. You're a racist prick and you're a fucking clown. All right. How's that for infighting on the left? All right. So Tiago Rafa says he's from Syria. All right. Good. Thank you for the clarification. Richard Medhurst is from Syria. And Skeptical says Unapologetic made a good video about Nina's run. All right, cool. I'll check those all out. Thanks for the recommendations. And yeah, we definitely want to support independent media. I just hope folks support us first, damn it. Because we need all the support that we can get. I'm pretty sure Richard Medhurst has got a far bigger following than myself right now. Skeptical says many people are anti-establishment in their words, but pro-status quo in deeds. Many would-be progressives refuse to rock the boat. They have no fighting spirit and they go along to get along. Yeah, I just don't think that Tim Black or anyone we're talking about here fits that description. I just don't see that from them. These are not people who have gone along to get along, and they have done so at great cost to their own careers. And it's disappointing to hear that, because I know you're not going to agree with me on everything, and we just got to find a way to what are we on the left if every time somebody disagrees with us in some minuscule way, we have to completely tear them down and mischaracterize them or characterize them as some sort of fraud or grifter. I don't think that helps. Skeptical says splitting a movement can lead to clarity. Right now, we have too many contradicting views about how to relate to Democrats. This leads to inaction. Black Panther Party purge of 1968 strengthened them. Point taken. I can't comment on that really right now. I just don't have anything to say on that right now. I'll think through that and try to give you some thoughts on that when I solidify some thoughts on that. I'd have to do some more research. Skeptical says purging movements and exposing leaders has always been part of the leftist struggle. Look at Bolsheviks splitting with Mensheviks, part of the game. Yeah, like I'm fine with splitting, but what lines are we splitting on? You're talking about people that have substantive, or I mean, man, we're talking about people that agree on 99% of stuff. And who the hell are we building our movement with? If not, man, I don't know. X says that's the problem with being a fan of these personalities. You try to shield them from valid, warranted criticism because you're a fan. They see it as an attack on them personally. Yeah, and we just gotta be able to step back from that and see this with better clarity than that. And not turn it into the personality, cult of personality bullshit. I don't want anybody to be immune from criticism. I was literally calling up my boss's show to criticize them, to disagree with Tim Black on the strategy points. All right. But to do so in a way that isn't just totally, listen, you do not hear me making a case for like bullshit respectability politics. I'm not that guy. You never hear me saying that, right? I'm not out here trying to preach some bullshit respectability politics, but there is a baseline level of basic human decency and basic respect that we have to give to one another as just human beings. And how the fuck are you a leftist if you don't have that? If you don't have that basic fundamental, human decency and just base level of respect for another person, to just understand that people don't respond well to being personally attacked. And so you shouldn't, it's not a helpful, constructive way to do things. Right. And you just don't come with the straight disrespectful bullshit, like, I'm sorry, Skeptical says what Jimmy is doing is actually dangerous. The fact that he is wealthy means he doesn't have to challenge the system, but he still is. Nope. To say that he is somehow endangering a rich person that criticizes power is somehow it's more dangerous than a more marginalized person who's criticizing power. Calling bullshit on that, Skeptical. Sorry. It is always more dangerous for the already marginalized person to then speak out against and challenge the system. I'm sorry. Having more to lose, I do not accept that bullshit line. You're comfortable. You're set. You are not. Jimmy Dore doesn't have the threat of destitution haunting him right now. All right. Like, sorry, you're not one step away from that. Jimmy could lose half of his supporters and he'd still be fine. You don't buy multi-million-dollar homes unless you're doing all right. Okay. This idea that, we should somehow we should be more thankful for the wealthy people who criticize power because they're doing it at some personal risk to themselves. No, I'm sorry. everybody's, the marginalized people take a risk every single day just existing. All right. And so I'm not going to pat you on the back because you happen to be wealthy and, you speak out about this stuff. You don't get any extra pats on the back. And it's not it's no more dangerous than a broke ass person like myself, speaking out against this stuff. I'm damn near unemployable at this point, and I don't have millions of dollars. I don't own a home. I don't have millions of dollars to fall back on. Okay. So no, it's not more dangerous for Jimmy Dore to speak truth to power than for me to do it. All right. I'm an already marginalized person. I'm already black in America. I'm already a leftist in America. And I'm speaking out against these things. It absolutely is more of a threat to me to speak out against this stuff and to Tim Black than for somebody with more money. The more money you have, the less risk you are having to take in speaking out against these things. All right. So let's never kid ourselves with that, please. All right. He doesn't have to challenge the system, sure, but he is good and he should, but you don't get extra brownie points because you happen to be, you happen to be doing well off and you're doing it. It's just a baseline bare minimum that we can ask of any person with means, especially. So I don't consider it any more. It is no more dangerous. It's in fact far less dangerous than what all marginalized, poor people do every single day, just trying to exist. What Up America says, Tim's whole show is about giving regular people a platform to speak. It's altruistic and a service to the community. Thank you, What Up America. Like, that's what I want to hear. That's what I need to hear. Like, absolutely. He literally has a segment on a show called Freedom Friday, where he just lets people call in and he just gives them the floor. And he just says, you just take the floor and you say whatever you got to say. I'm handing the microphone back to the people. All right. So, and then you got Jimmy Dore that just fucking shits on everybody. And he went off on Katie Halper one time, just like into the devolving is the totally ad hominem, just absolutely destructive rhetoric, really. You see, let me just quickly, you got folks like, this is what I'm talking about. All right. You got Stay Human, right? Who says, cool, unsubscribed. All right. So fuck up. Good for you. Fuck you, Stay Human. I don't give a fuck. All right. Fuck off. Okay. Peace out. All right, buddy. Don't fucking need you. You weren't really down for the cause. All right. So fuck off and goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the fucking way out. Okay. Don't need you. Don't want you. Didn't want you. Don't fucking need you. Okay. All right. And this is the thing. Like, oh, Jimmy's right. Did you not fucking listen to what I've been saying the whole fucking time? I fucking agree with Jimmy on the basic fucking strategy, okay? So shut the fuck up about, you go on to say, have fun with your 8 viewers. Yes, thank you. You're such a good leftist. Shitting on a marginalized, housing insecure black leftist because he doesn't have as big of a platform. Let's shit on me for just being for just trying to use my little fucking platform to try to fight for the fucking left movement. Yeah. Have fun with my 8 viewers. You know what? I fucking will. I'd rather have 8 fucking viewers that, have some basic fucking modicum of understanding of left politics and discourse than fucking clowns like you that are, little fickle people that are it's cultish. Oh, I spoke against, I had the audacity to criticize Jimmy Dore. So now you're unsubscribing and good luck with my 8 followers. Well, I guarantee you. Let me tell you something. I guarantee you. We will one day have a whole lot more than 8 viewers on this goddamn channel. And we will do it through fucking hard work and grit, just like Tim Black did. All right. And I'm sure he had to step over, he had to, get across a whole bunch of fake ass fucking, people like you who don't really support the movement and can't just take a little fucking ounce of criticism of somebody that you're a fan of. Like you can't even accept, you can't even listen to an ounce of fucking criticism. If somebody disagrees with you in the least, unsubscribe, fuck off, enjoy your 8 viewers. And I'm going to shit on you for being broke and having no platform because you're a marginalized leftist. Like, fuck off, dude. Fuck off and peace out. Nice knowing you. Not gonna miss you. Okay. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Tiago says Jimmy agreed with David's solution in the live show. The thing that pissed Jimmy off was David being afraid to challenge Pelosi. Sorry, but David is not afraid to challenge Pelosi. He said it over and over and over again. He is okay with challenging Pelosi. He supports the challenge to Pelosi. He just wants us to challenge her on more substantive, points. That's it. He does not have any disagreement. I showed the tweet earlier. You need me to pull it back up? I will show it one more time. All right, one more time. Here you go. All right, just for folks that missed this. Here you go. David Sirota saying, I agree with Jimmy Dore and Brianna Joy Gray. Would be very good to get a Medicare for all floor vote. I've said that for the entire week. What are we arguing about? Seriously, can someone explain what we're arguing about? All right. So, yeah, I disagree that David does not, Tiago says in the live show I saw it live. I haven't seen it, so it's hard to speak on stuff that I didn't come across. Did not see that, so I can't speak to that, unfortunately. But everything that I've read from David Sirota all week has been him, and that's what's been more prominent in my opinion, has been him saying, I support the challenge to Nancy Pelosi. If he said that he didn't support that challenge, I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear his opinion on it. I'm sure he has his reasons, but yeah, I just whatever. I need to dig more into that to see where he's trying to get at David Sirota. But David Sirota is sitting here saying, listen, I agree with Jimmy. I agree with Jimmy. I agree with Jimmy. So I don't know, maybe he misspoke on live stream. Live streams I've done it before. All right. So, live streams are a mother. Tiago says that was days later. I don't know which one was days later. The agreement, but yeah, I don't know. Everything I watched a damn near 6-hour Katie Halper show segment with David Sirota on there, and I heard him, saying that he agreed with the challenge to Pelosi on this. He just wanted to see more come out of it. That's what his entirety of his Jacobin article is about. Okay. So Tiago says the live was before people jumped on him and then he corrected himself. Well, that's fine. That's why we criticize these folks, right? It's okay to criticize and to say we disagree with you on strategy without having to call people bootlicking coward, sucker, phony, fake, fraudulent assholes, Skeptical says, Tammy, unity shouldn't be based on verbal abstract support for Medicare for all. Unity needs to be based on actual tactics and strategy. I agree, Skeptical. How is a floor vote on Medicare for all with a Republican-controlled Senate and in a White House under Biden or Trump that would be hostile towards Medicare for all? How the hell is that anything except verbal abstract support for Medicare for all? I'm sorry, that is abstract support for Medicare for all, because damn well it's not actually going to pass. What David's calling for is something more than that abstract support for Medicare for all. And so we are talking about unity on tactics and strategy. We're just trying to convince the other side that our tactics and strategy will actually get us there faster. I'm not talking about the Tim Black strategy. I'm talking about the David Sirota strategy. Do the Medicare for all, push, challenge Nancy Pelosi for the speakership, but make more bolder demands. All right. And so I agree that it shouldn't be based on some abstract support for Medicare for all. I just disagree on, you saying that Jimmy's tactics are, the tactics that we have to use those tactics and not what Sirota was proposing. I absolutely agree that what Sirota was proposing is far more substantive than what Jimmy was proposing. What Up America says, when we're insulting and canceling rather than engaging in reasoned debate, the establishment wins. Totally fucking agree. 100% What Up America. We here right now. Like we're here right now. Tiago says we just need to push the People's Party further. Totally agree with you. And you know who else agrees with you? Jimmy Dore and Tim Black. All right. Tim Black literally spoke at the People's Convention. All right. And he spoke in favor of it. And he was, an outspoken supporter of the People's Party. So totally agree. How are we going to do that when two of the main proponents of the People's Party are, having to devolve into these personal attacks because one of them, Jimmy Dore, felt the need to call the other one a phony, fake, fraudulent bootlicker? How the fuck does that help the People's Party movement when you got one of the People's Party advocates tearing down another one as a phony? How doesn't that then, when people say, oh, he's a phony and he supports People's Party, maybe People's Party is phony, So you got to see how that rhetoric is actually toxic, destructive to the left, counterproductive. Skeptical says, please study historical splits within the left. Stop the pleas for empathy unity. It depends on what unity is based on. Where the fuck do you see me talking about empathy unity, Skeptical? Like, huh? Oh, sorry. Stop the pleas for empty unity. Where do you see me talking about empty unity? Do you ever see me talking about we need some empty unity? I'm fucking talking about uniting behind a fight for very substantive things. All right, Medicare for all. Green New Deal, I'll take, Green New Deal, Medicare for all, at least a $15 minimum wage, $20 minimum wage, talking about, workplace democracy, what else you want? Universal basic income. Like, where do you see me talking about empty unity? All I ever talk about is policy, policy, policy. All Tim Black ever talks about policy, policy, policy. Nobody's talking about some blank empty unity. I'm not even talking about not disagreeing. I'm saying we need to have these disagreements out on the left. We got to find a way to have the disagreements productively so that we can still push forward our movement. That's it. Silver Energy 985 says, what is your view to fight under the Biden administration then? Personally, I think we must take to the streets and paralyze the economy like they have in other parts of the world. This would hurt the capitalists. Dude, you couldn't find a stronger proponent, I believe, in supporting a general strike. We need to take a page out of the book of, what was the yellow vest movements in France, still is the yellow vest movements in France, more relevant, more topical right now. The 250 million workers that are on strike led by farmers in India. All right. 250 million workers are on strike in India right now and are ready to be on strike for the next few months. All right. I believe in a general strike. I believe that is the way that the left can exercise their power. I think that we need to, unite behind a fight for a general strike, because I absolutely believe in, yes, I am not going to go out and protest if it's going to be another one day, little momentary, temporary protest. If we're talking about sustained protests, we're taking to the streets every single day and grinding this economy to a halt, I am absolutely 100% behind that. So I believe that is the only, way to push the Biden administration really after this point, to be honest. Like, after this little fight here, after this happens, and once Biden's inaugurated, I honestly believe that nothing short of a general strike is going to move the Biden administration left. Simply protesting, if we just take to the streets and protest, and that's all we do, if it's just going to be a Black Lives Matter one day protest, we go out, we scream and rage, and then we all pack it up and go back home, and we're all done the next day. If that's the kind of protest we're talking about, I do not think that will be effective, because we just did those sorts of protests, and we had semi-sustained protests, but without not a general strike, not actually grinding economy to a halt. We had some seemingly sustained protests over the summer in the wake of the George Floyd lynching. We did have some sustained protests, but it wasn't a cohesive. It wasn't, a strike. It wasn't anything like that. And the demands were really, just too nebulous. But Joe Biden didn't move an inch. He didn't budge an inch left on, even criminal justice reform. In fact, he shifted to the right on criminal justice reform and used right-wing rhetoric during those, over the summer. And so, I don't think just going out there and protesting Joe Biden alone is going to move, that won't move him. But if we are willing to participate in a general strike and, grind this economy to a halt, I absolutely believe that will be enough to push the Biden administration left. So totally agree with you. Skeptical says, agreed 100%. We need to mobilize the people to paralyze the economy. Yeah, I think, and this is what the fuck I'm talking about. We are all in agreement here, and you're not going to find any liberals out there pushing for general strikes but Jimmy will support a general strike. Tim Black would support a general strike. This is why, and that's the kind of sustained unified left that we're talking about, right? That's what we believe in, in supporting. All right. So check out the work, Black Socialists of America. They are, also adamantly out there advocating for a general strike as well. I'm cutting the stream at 2 hours because I don't think that we should take it beyond 2 hours. Tiago says, I agree. Links to jimmydorcomedy.com/join a strike, which is cool. You see, there's Jimmy supporting strike, supporting general strike. Totally agree with that. Totally in support of that. Skeptical says, which leftists aggressively push for mass direct action nowadays? Me, for one. And that's why you got to support little indie shows like mine if you can. If you want to support this stuff, please, I will platform. I will support it. Black Socialists in America certainly support it. Look at people that are fighting in the workplace democracy movement. They absolutely support it. Cooperation Jackson. But I agree, there's not enough. People's Party, Ryan Knight has continually called for a general strike. I absolutely believe that there are people on the left that are calling for a general strike. It's not picked up enough and gotten enough attention yet. And I've only covered it, indirectly through other things. I really want to tackle this. Every time I talk about any kind of strike effort or labor action, I bring up a general strike, but I really want to do more and use my platform, my tiny little, 8 viewer platform, to try to push forward that fight for a general strike, because I wholeheartedly believe that is the only thing that will make a difference for the left. And that's the only way that we're going to get anything done for the next 4 years. Skeptical says, Lenin wrote a book about the Bolshevik split with the renegade Kautsky. Please look into the split with the Second International during World War I. I will. I'll jot it down. Bolshevik split. I will. I love to read up and find more information. I appreciate you, encouraging that and providing that information. Second International. I'll check. International. All right. So I will check that out. Skeptical. I appreciate that. And appreciate you having this dialogue out. I do. Mark McKeever says, breathe, brother. I see a fat bowl in your future. Absolutely. As soon as this stream ends. All right. And maybe before it does. All right. We sparking something up. Hashtag road to 2K. Yes, dope. Appreciate that. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. You're still watching this and you haven't done so already. Please hit that like button down below. Don't be a sucker, like, stay human. Subscribe to the channel and share this out if you don't mind, to help spread the word. Also, if you can afford to do so, I really need support. Really need your support. Support independent Black left media, support democracy in the workplace, support the general strike movement by supporting our channel here. Coffee.com/radical democracy. That's ko-fi.com/radical democracy. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/radical democracy. Links to both of those are in the description box below. So please just do it right now. If there's even a thought in your mind that you might be willing to support, at least click the link and open up the page and just let it marinate there and think about it there. But click one of those things, click one of those links, open it up, go support the channel, support the show, support independent media, but importantly, independent Black left media as well. All right. So What Up America says, and your fight also is for workplace democracy. And I don't see Jimmy Dore nor even Tim Black that much hitting that issue as hard as you do. That's your contribution. Thank you so much. Yeah. And that is truly the reason why I started this channel. I felt like the left discourse, particularly even Black left, but really the broader left discourse did not feature enough of the fight for workplace democracy. And so that was something that it's personal to me. I see the value in it. And I really believe that it is the steps forward that we need to take in order to build a more power on the left and to start to build it in a grassroots way from the ground up in the place where majority of adults are spending the majority of their waking lives. And so I do believe in that fight and want to advocate for that constantly. But hand in hand with that is a general strike, because we can leverage power and get and make substantive gains for the workplace democracy movement fight through a general strike as well. So I totally support both those. And thank you so much for that. What Up America? I appreciate that. Skeptical says, y'all ever read Black Agenda Report? Is that the one by that woman that was on? I'm spacing on her name. I'm going to check. Black Agenda Report. I'm pretty sure that was what was written by, I forget her name, but she advocated for it on Roland Martin's show when she was talking shit about Ice Cube's contract with Black America. And I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at that as well. Black Agenda Report. All right. Sorry, got to take some notes here, y'all. Just bear with me. Deal with it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Okay. I'll check it out. Skeptical. Thank you for that. I will take, but I do believe, I think I've heard of it. I think I've referenced it before. So I'll take a look though. Keep going. Like, subscribe, share, y'all. Like, subscribe, and share, please, please, please. because we just lost a punk ass subscriber, so we need to gain one more. All right, for every one punk ass subscriber we lose, we should try to gain 2 more. All right, fight back against that dumb shit, that weak ass shit on the left. All right, of cannibalizing each other and tearing each other down because we happen to disagree in a nuanced, substantive way where I'm not trying to tear down each of them, either of them fucking personally, but whatever. Tiago Rafa says, yes, Richard Wolff talks about this a lot. Yes, same here. I'm a big fan of Richard Wolff's. Wolff's, is that appropriate to pluralize his last name? Richard Wolff's. So big fan of Richard Wolff's, and constantly reference him on the show. Yeah, so yes, I will, and this is the thing, Richard Wolff, just I love that dude, but he's getting up there in years. He's getting older, and Cornel West is getting older. There's those people up there, and then I see a huge gap in the middle where like a whole generation, like all of Gen X and stuff, is just like lost. Like it's like a lost generation. And then you got some young leftists now, picking up that mantle. And so I really feel like we got to take we're kind of taking the baton from them in this relay race, because and I don't want to say they're on their way out. Like that sounds really dark and gruesome. But they let them retire and be able to spend some time in their older years, and enjoying their lives. Right. They fought the fight long enough, hard enough, that we need to sort of take up the mantle and carry the torch forward. And so that is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to, pick up that take up that mantle and to carry that fight forward. And this is just the beginning of where we are right now. Like if you like us now, the channel's growing every day. What we're doing here is growing every day. And I'm getting, I'll only get sharper and better at this as time goes by. So stick with us. Support our show, like, subscribe, share, and if you can afford to do so, please support us on Coffee and Patreon. Links are in the description box below. Any more comments that we want to get to? No? All right, y'all. We are at the 2-hour mark, so I'm just going to I think wrap that here. Please, if you have any other thoughts and we didn't get a chance to get to your comments, please leave a comment in after the fact. If you're watching this, after we're live, just leave a comment, and I read all the comments and try to respond to as many of them as possible. So please, if you have any thoughts on this, let me hear it in the comments. If you think I'm a complete moron, idiot, phony, bootlicker, coward, let me know in the comments below, and we'll take it from there. Again, support the show, like, subscribe, share. Appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much. Oh, I just see somebody that just said, oh, okay. Somebody, sorry, I gotta do this because I just love this. And Skeptical said, Tammy, you ever listen to Luna Oi? She's a Marxist and broadcast from Vietnam. And you corrected and said Luna Oi. I love Luna Oi. I like non-compete as well. I think they're partners, and I know they're partners. And he's another leftist, communist, I believe. And Luna Oi's great, and love her show, love her channel. Would love to have either or both of them on at some point, or do some crossover work with them. They're part of so-called BreadTube. I've even watched. She has like a cooking thing that she does, where she does like Vietnamese recipes, and they're dope too. So check her out and support Leftist. Really love her. She's done some really great work just covering like sort of Vietnamese politics, and it's just great. She's really great. Non-compete and Luna Oi. Check them out. Really appreciated it. Thank you so much to everyone, seriously, for participating in this chat today. Like sometimes it looks like I'm like upset or flustered or whatever, but trust me, I'm having a good time having these debates out on the left, because we just got to do whatever the hell is necessary to start to win substantive wins for marginalized, people, working class, marginalized people, the proletariat. And I want to have these debates, these discussions out, even where we disagree. We shouldn't resort to personal attacks or tearing each other down or not supporting one another simply because we disagree. We're not going to agree on 100% of things, and that's okay. Thank you, Tiago. Tiago Rafa says, thanks, guys. Thank you so much, Tiago. It was really a pleasure chatting with you and having you in the comments. Please come back again. We're experimenting with a new format where we're going to do these live segments from throughout the day, sometimes just on and off. Don't really have a set time, so just keep an eye out, and hope to see you join in the chat again. Silver Energy says 985 says, thank you, very interesting show so far, I will subscribe. Awesome. Thank you so much, Silver Energy. Really deeply appreciate that. Take that, Stay Human, you punk ass sucker, you mark ass trick. All right, sorry, I'm just fucking around. Skeptical says, thank you, Skeptical. Just solidarity, y'all. We all are, and we agree on all of our goals, y'all, and we are absolutely in this together, and we just gotta stay in this together, because that's the only way the left is ever gonna win. So just keep doing what y'all are doing, keep having these debates and discussions out. Shout out to Tim Black. Sorry for all the bullshit and you having to get dragged into and through this, brother. Wish I could have made it through into the call-in part of your show, but maybe I'll call in on Friday and chat with you then. All right, y'all. Peace.